hello. Happy Thursday, y'all. Welcome to Bankroll Your Brains Thursdays, where I join you every week, 12 p.m. every Thursday, giving you insight in one of three areas, making sure you understand the value of your brilliance, your DNA, which I call your distinct natural ability, which is the one thing God created you to do and stand in this world. The second is the value tied to it. And the third is how you make multiple streams of revenue from it. So every week I usually have a guest, and once a month I come in to pour into you. And so today is a day for me to pour into you, right? So as you're coming in, first you'll see a couple things. Those of you that are new, you'll see me looking over here, which means I'm looking at my comments on my iPad. So come on in, tell me hello, tell me name and where you're joining from. If as I'm sharing with you, anything resonates with you, you have a question, I want you to post, and I'll be looking over as you're here to make sure I answer all your questions, right? So come on in, say hello, right? Trying to see if my comments are coming through because I don't see comments on my iPad. I don't know why. Hey, Sandra from Riverside. I'm a Cali girl myself, but I live in the DMV now. So come on in. As my grandmother would say, don't come in this house and not speak. So at least say hello because I'm going to be pouring into you for the next 30 minutes. So today our topic is the 6 steps to strategically go after your next level for 2022. And yeah, I know it's 2021. And why am I talking about next year already? Hey, Paulette in Michigan, because you can't wait until next year to get started on your goals. This is your runway to 2022. October marks the last quarter of this year. So you got to get in gear for next year now. So go get a pen, go get a paper. Again, ask me questions as I go in because you're going to have homework. Because everything I give you, listen, you can get information, you can get excited, you can be motivated from what I share. But if you don't take any action, then what's the point? What's the point in joining me live? What's the point in me sharing strategy if you're not going to implement the strategy? And some of you might not need all 6, you might need 1 or 2. But whatever that is, and wherever you might feel like you aren't sure, I want you to ask me the question. All right. Hey, Lana in Ontario and Patsy in Illinois. I love it. I love it. Y'all keep saying hello, even if you watch the replay. All right. So you ready? Got a pen? Now, here's the first thing you've got to do. Now, let me say this before I tell you the first thing. You've got to understand that when God gives you a vision, when you are going after another level, it's not about who you already are. The version of you that's on your bio and your resume is complete. So I'm not here for that version of you. I want to talk about that big, bold dream that scares you, that big thing that God dropped in your spirit, that big desire in your heart that you have no idea how the heck you're going to do it. That dream. That is what I'm talking about. That is, right? Because listen, Ephesians 3:20 says, to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever ask or think. If it's bigger than what you could ask or think, hello, it's bigger than where you are. It's bigger than what you can see. It's bigger than what you've already done. So it's going to take you creating strategy if you're going to be able to do it. Everything's possible. All you need is a little faith and a little action, right? So with that said, number 1 is you got to write it out. Now, vision boards got big, and some of you guys may already have a vision board. What I always do every year is I look at my vision board, and if I need to add a picture, take a picture away because I've already done that. So the purpose of having a vision board is to remind you of where you're going, right? So those of you that are God's, girls or fellas, like I am, you've heard the Habakkuk 2:2 ad nauseum, write the vision and make it plain. But if you read the Bible verses around it, I had this great conversation with those people I got to coach at my 2-day intensive last week and be the answer, right? All right. So Krita says, baby, I got $3 million ideas. Don't know how to go about it. So this is definitely for you, right? Because God is never checking your bank account when he puts an idea, a thought, a dream in you. He's checking your faith. See, I believe God gives us dreams that are way bigger than what we can see so that we have to rely on him. Because if you could do it, it'd be done, right? So with that, I want you guys to really, really, really understand this. We often quote, write the vision, make it plain, but we don't read the Bible verses around it. So I'm going to read this. And again, what I'm reading is Habakkuk 2:1-3. So instead of just 2, which I'll read that too. Okay. So Habakkuk says, I will stand my watch, right? and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me, talking about God, and what I will answer when I am corrected. Okay. So then God says back to him, this is true. Then God answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Do you know why I believe this Bible verse says it will come? Because there's a difference between the vision and when you start the activation of the vision. It takes time to get there. It's not an overnight process. And so many people give up in the middle of it. So though it tarry, in other words, though it takes forever, though it may be taking longer than you thought, though you thought it was going to happen faster than it's happening. Wait for it. Don't give up. So what I'm going to give you today are the steps to not give up. I've got an eyelash going in my eye. To not give up, so that you can obtain the promise that God has for you. See, our gifts that God gives us at birth are attached to a promise, purpose, and a promise. Will you do the work to go and get it? Okay. So first you got to write it out. As scary as it is, write every detail. Those of you that don't have a vision board, I'm going to put a vision board exercise in my Facebook group. Listen, I wasn't planning for this, so let me write this real quick. If you don't know how to do vision board exercise, this is me doing it live. It'll go in my Facebook group. So you got to join by going to www.the Brilliance Tribe. Now listen, if you join my Facebook group, number one, just know it's going to ask you questions, okay? There it is, vision board exercise. I'll put it in my exercise. I'll put it in my Facebook group. It'll only be there until 6 a.m. EST tomorrow. Why am I doing that? Because I want to award the woman, the man that goes to get what they need quickly. Number one. Number two, when you wait on it and don't start taking action, though you can't see it, though it may tarry, but you take action, God awards that. So I'm going to be in alignment with God and award those that are willing to take action. You know, there's a thing called seed, time, and harvest. The seed is the vision, the goal, the thing that's in you. Time is all you do to move it forward. So the first thing you've got to do is get clear about what is the vision. So I want you to start writing it out, right? Spending time writing it out, right? Like the Bible verse says, write it on tablets. So I want you to create a vision board, or if you already have one, I want you to recalibrate your vision board, look at your vision board and see where you might need to add to it. Okay. What did Jennifer says, say that again. What part? If you have a question, tell me so I can answer. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing you got to start doing is writing out the strategy to get there. By the way, you can see I have my notes here because I want to make sure I stay on task, right? So that's what I believe this Bible verse means, that he or she that read it may run to it, right? That he may run who reads it is actually what it says. That he or she may run who reads it, meaning that it keeps you in the work. It reminds you, but now you know the steps to take. And wherever you see a hole, that means you need to find support. So those of you that want to start a business and maybe you don't know where to begin, or, maybe you need a coach or a program, right? Maybe you want to make more revenue in your business, whatever that big goal is. You might want to lose 50 pounds. Whatever those goals are. What's interesting is so many people join gyms in January as their New Year's resolutions. I didn't say New Year's resolutions. I said goals. Big difference. What they don't do is strategically take the time to look at, what do I need to do? Who do I need to hire? Or what do I need to do? And sometimes it's both, in order to get to that goal. So in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, oh, thank you, Jennifer. I am going to be 52 years old, and I don't mind saying that. So in COVID, I got a little happy and started eating all the carbs I could ever want. How many of y'all did that too? Ooh, I ate every carb. Ooh, and I gained about 20 pounds. And so the way that I had been working out doesn't work anymore, because now I'm perimenopausal, right? And so all the things I have done previously to lose 20 pounds, my body was like, and so I had to hire a new trainer, because let me also be clear, I eat. I'm not one of them girls that cute eat. I eat. And I love a glass of wine. Oops. So I had a trainer that told me I couldn't drink anymore. Fired, because at least I'm gonna have a glass of wine. So I need you to tell me, what can I not eat so I can drink my wine? I'm clear on who I am. So I had to find someone that was in alignment with what I knew I needed to do. You guys get that? So when you write your vision, your second step is start looking at, what do you need to do? Monthly, weekly, daily. Some of you will be quarterly, in order to make that dream real. It's not overnight. That's why I said seed, time, and harvest. Now, in order for you to actually get those action steps done, you've got to do number 3 and number 4. You ready? Number 3, you got to check on you or check in with yourself. So Romans 12:3 says, and I wrote it down, for I say, through the, and this is Paul talking, by the way, for I say, through the grace given to me to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself or herself more highly than he or she ought to, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith. See, what I believe Paul was saying, and by the way, this Bible verse was written at a time when the church people were just losing their mind. Let me say it like that. And so many people were feeling themselves. And sometimes we get to a level in our own career, our own life, where we're feeling ourselves. It could be because you have the title. It could be because you have the corner office. You've gotten to this certain level in your career. All of that is great. But as I said in the beginning, that version of you is done. So you're going to check in on you. Are you feeling yourself so much you're like, I can do this easily? No, let me explain to you. I'm saying that because those of you that haven't heard my story, I've been doing this for 28 years. And it took me 17 years to realize that I was feeling myself. So let me tell you my story really quickly. So again, 28 years. So 1993, I had the job I had dreamed of ever since I was a little girl, worked in the entertainment industry. I loved every minute of it. And then God tapped on my shoulder and told me to shift and do the thing I'm doing now. I'm telling you the quick version of my story, right? And so to make a really long story short, it happened all one night. As I started working with young women in my church, and as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up, and I realized, oh my God, this is the thing that God is calling me to do. But this was before there was a coach. Remember, this is 1993. There was no such thing as a coach yet, or I hadn't heard of a coach yet. And I didn't know how I was going to make money doing this thing I was doing. But the one thing I knew is this is it. My soul is alive, right? Hey, Agnes from DC, from New York, rather, right? So I'm sharing that with you because that was the seed. It took me time to really realize what it was. And so 17 years in now, I got a clue, obviously, right? So 17 years in, my business had grown substantially. So back then, this is 2010, by the way, I had a nonprofit and a for-profit. So my nonprofit was growing by leaps and bounds, working with teenage girls the same way I had worked in that church that night. Listen, I had 10 chapters of that program. It had, again, it had become a nonprofit, 10 chapters in 10 states and all over the country, growing by leaps and bounds. In my for-profit, coaching women and men really around their purpose-driven, purpose-focused businesses. I had a maxed out coaching client roster. I couldn't take another client. So in 2010, I wrote my first book. That's my fourth book you see behind me. I wrote my first book in 2010. And when that book came out, I started getting invitations to speak all over the country. So every weekend I was at an entrepreneurial symposium, a women's conference, some kind of business expo speaking. And I loved every minute of it. But can I tell you, in my business, I was only making $13,000 a year. And I'm telling you the story because I didn't start my business to be struggling. So you guys know I still had a daytime job. My daytime job, I was an adjunct professor. I'm sharing that with you because ultimately what I learned in that moment in my own journey is I was feeling myself. I kept thinking I should know what to do. I have a master's degree. I'm teaching not at one prestigious university. I taught at USC for 5 years. And then when I moved, I taught at Boston University. I never applied for either of those jobs. I got offered the job at USC. And when I was leaving LA to move to Boston, the dean of that school called the dean of this school, and I got this job. So I was feeling myself. I kept thinking I should know how to do this. And so I kept adding extra time and extra hours and doing all this extra, but I was doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Isn't that the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? It wasn't until I got clear with the strategy I needed to take. And one of those strategies was hiring a coach, which is why I'm sharing this with you right now. My coach showed me. I call this, and those of you that have been around me, I call it being in your blind spots, right? She could see, but I couldn't see. So you can't coach yourself. You just can't. And so literally, she began to say, Nicole, didn't you tell me you're an adjunct professor that you taught at USC and now you teach at Boston University and what you teach is program development at a graduate school level? And I'm like, yeah, I'm proud that my coach knows me. And then she said, before you moved from California, didn't you have a consultancy? And you work with celebrities, you work with small business owners, you work with nonprofits, you work with, just the gamut of who's who in the business arena. And I'm thinking, yeah. She said, Nicole, you don't have any programs in your own business. Duh. So, do you know, making an even longer story short, I created a strategy with the help of my coach. And this is the same strategy I now teach to my clients. I went from 13,000 to over 200,000 within 6 months. So I'm sharing that with you is because many of you are in your way. So I need you to check yourself. And so I want you to do for your homework a SWOT analysis. I want you to look at the strengths you bring to what is your next level for 2022. I want you to look at what are your weaknesses? What do you not know? There are things I guarantee you. See, I didn't know what I didn't know. There are systems and strategies that I didn't have at place in my business. Despite the fact that I go in other businesses and develop programs and still do that to this day, I hadn't stopped long enough to realize and create systems in my own. So, what are the strengths, weaknesses? What are the opportunities for you and the threats? I guarantee your opportunities will supersede your threats if you take time to do this work. Your strengths will help in your weak areas or you hire in your weak areas. Okay. So I want you to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Remember that song back in the day, check yourself before you wreck yourself? Because some of y'all are in that place. It's time to check yourself. It's time to stop thinking that you have every answer and go and get help. Okay. Which is leads to number four. Number four is you got to check your environment. Sometimes the people around you are not conducive to your purpose. Sometimes, and some of you may already have businesses, or you may be a big corporate executive, and the assistant you hired or the team member that you hired, you've outgrown. You've got to know when to let go so you can grow. That's called pruning. Since I said seed time and harvest, right? So sometimes you need to fertilize your seed. Sometimes the things that are growing need to be pruned because they cannot go where you're going. They're not ready or they don't have the capacity. And or you may have people in your lives on a personal level that just are no longer able to play on your team is what I call it. So you've got to do a check on your environment because listen, in Genesis, the 12th chapter, there's a whole story about Abraham. Go read it. And God tells Abraham to leave his country and what he knows. And I believe God does it for a couple of reasons. One, because the people that were around him would never believe what was possible. I remember when I left entertainment and so many people started saying, Nicole, you crazy. And a lot of people talked about me. Oh, they ain't talking about me now when they see what I'm doing, right? Like Oprah said, what did she say? I want people to ride in the bus when the limo breaks down, or something like that was her quote. I'm just saying, right? So you have to be mindful and check your environment, who's around you. The second thing is listen, I call this part of what I'm walking you through is something I walk my clients through, which is a bankroll zip code. And sometimes you don't realize that where your mindset lives will hinder where God is trying to take you. So I need you to really, really get this. Okay. So check yourself, check your environment. So number one is to get clear on your vision, write the vision board. Again, I'm going to put a vision board exercise in my Facebook group. Thebrilliancetribe.com is where you go. It does ask you questions to join. But I'm giving you this exercise because I want to make sure that you can get the work done. Because if you don't implement anything from what I'm sharing with you, what's the point? Those of you that have a vision board, this is my invitation for you to take a moment and assess where you are. Has your vision expanded? Do you need to add some things? Do you need to take some things away because you completed it? Right? Because it's no longer need to be a vision, it's real. I don't know why this eyelash is driving me crazy today. But anyway, we'll keep on teaching. Okay. Number two is to write out the strategy. Be honest with what you need and then go and get it. Listen, again, God never gives you a vision checking your bank account, checking the friends you have, checking your neighborhood. He's not checking any of that. He's checking your faith. Will you believe enough to start to act and not wait? Number three, as you do that, is check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Number four is check who's around you. Number five then is create a day by day, a month by month, a quarter by quarter plan. So if you have the strategy and now you've gotten tools, maybe you've gone through a program, you've hired a coach and they've given you tools. Now you've got to take the plan you had. And then now that you have the strategy from your coach, the step by steps, now you got to go and plan it out. What are you doing this week? What are you doing next week? What do you need to do the week after that? Because if you don't write it out as a plan, just because it's in your head, it's not happening. Just because you write it on a vision board, it's not happening. That's just a reminder to keep you activated, to keep you moving toward it. But if you don't set up a plan, it's not happening. Mm-mm. See, I remember when I started my business And I had just gotten married. Not well, I got married in 2007. I started my business in 1993. Okay. So I remember when I had just got this is when my business started almost because I hired my coach in 2010. So this is what I would call the struggle years. Okay. So I had quit my daytime job. Right. So I used to have a full-time job and then I started teaching at an adjunct level. By the way, I had two jobs back then. I taught at Boston University and I was teaching online University of Phoenix. But I had just gotten married. My husband has two, I have two bonus children because I always say they were a bonus added blessing. When I got married to my husband, I got my bonus kids as a bonus. I'm a grandmother because of them, because I have not birthed a baby of my own. I'm sharing that with you because it was a lot on my plate at that time. But I used to get up every morning at 4 a.m. Did I like it? Nope. Hated it. Never liked getting up at 4. But I knew if I was going to get work done before I went to the university, I had to get up. My first class was at 8. Was it at 8 or 8:30? I don't remember now. I think it was at 8. So I would get up 4 a.m., work from 4 to 6, get my babies up, feed them, get them ready for the day, and then go to work early. So sometimes I get to work an hour early, sometimes it'd be 30 minutes. But baby, on the train, I'd be working. Get in the office early enough to get some of my business work done and then start my day. I'm sharing that with you because if you don't take the time to strategically plan out your day, it'll be whatever, whenever, however. You'll fit it in when you can. And that's not strategy. It's not. That's not a CEO mindset. That's not an executive level mindset. So if you want to go after your abundantly above all, to whom much is given, much is required. Period. That's a Bible verse, by the way. To whom much is given, much is required. So I wouldn't be here now if I didn't do that then. And can I tell you, I work more. I think I work harder now than I did then. Now, granted, I don't work on Fridays. On Mondays, I only kind of work half day because I only have team meetings and I'm done. So my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are pretty long, but it's worth it because I love it. I never feel like I'm working. I take Friday off because I like to get my house in order on Fridays. So I'm sharing all that with you is because I have a plan that I can not work on Friday. Now, some Fridays I do have to work because I might have a meeting or etc. But I'm sharing that with you again. If I strategically plan out my days, I can get everything I need to do done on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday. Okay. So let me review real quick as we are wrapping up. Number one, write the vision. Be clear about the vision. Get it all out. Again, those of you that need a vision board exercise or have never done a vision board exercise, I'm going to drop that in my Facebook group. By the way, in my Facebook group, I do a training in addition to these Thursdays. I at least do another training in there once a month. Okay. I do a Q&A in there once a month, and then I do various trainings in there. So you want to join the brilliancetribe.com. For those of you that want to start or grow your businesses, that's the place to be, right? So that's one. The vision board exercise will be available to you until tomorrow at 6 a.m. EST. Those of you that are watching the replay, sorry, you missed it. Join live. Step number two is once you write the vision and create the vision and you know where you want to go and you're clear on what it is, then write out the strategy to make it happen. And anywhere you don't know what to do, anywhere you're stuck, anywhere that you feel like you need support, get the support you need. See, if God intended you to be able to do everything, you'd be on this earth by yourself. You wouldn't need me or anybody else in your life. So get help. Then number three, check yourself. Number four, check your environment, those around you. Number five, from the strategy, now whittle it down into bite-sized pieces. What are you doing each day? What are you doing each week? What are you doing each month? To last but not least, this number 6 is to fuel you to stay in action. See, what I know for sure is that when we each are born to this world, God gives each of us specific DNA, distinct natural ability. That DNA was what was rumbling in me in 1993 when, again, I had the career. I loved entertainment. I never hated anything I did in entertainment, loved every minute of it. But what I realized is God had more for me to do. My DNA was expanding. Matter of fact, I've had some full circle moments with that entertainment background. I've had the opportunity to work with people like Steve Harvey. And, I've seen how God used that. All things work together for the good, not a few. And when TV comes back for me, come on, Jesus, I'm really seeing you will too. Why am I sharing that with you? Because number 6 is every step you take, realize that it's giving God a great return on his investment in you. Every step you take is giving God a great return. It's you investing in his investment. And if you know anything about the parable of the talents, go read it. Matthew 24, I think. It might be 25, 24. Excuse me, 25. Let me look so I can make sure I'm telling you the right thing. I think it's Matthew 25, 14 through 30. So funny, I just all these names, Bible verses in my head. Hold on, y'all. My Bible's in my lap. So I'm trying to look it up real quick. And I'm telling you to read this Bible verse because listen, this is truly about giving God a return on his investment. And every step you take every day, you're doing that, right? You're giving God a great return. It's Matthew 25, 14 through 30. Matthew 25, 14 through 30. Okay. So everything you do, you're giving a return back to God. You are being a good steward over the gift that was given to you by God. So that's our conversation for today. The 6 steps that will help you strategically go after your next level for 2022. Those of you, if your dreams are easy, if they're not scaring you, then listen, I'm going to quote Ayala Banzan. I was blessed to have her on one of my coaching calls in a mastermind I was in years ago. And she said, and I quote, if your dreams don't make you want to pee on yourself sometimes, you're not playing big enough. She said that, not me. If your dreams don't make you want to pee on yourself sometimes, you're not playing big enough. So you're relying on your own strength instead of the power that God put inside of you, which means you got to lean on his strength. So what's your next level? What's that next thing? What's going to take you into your abundantly above all year? Mhm. I need you to be it, do it, go after it. If you have questions, I'm going to hang for a second, take a sip of my water. It's my vitamin water. Don't judge me. It's not Kool-Aid. It's vitamin water. Any questions? And by the way, while I'm waiting for questions, let me also invite you. I always take your questions, your thoughts, your insight. Those of you that don't get to ask me live, that I get to answer them here. Send an email if you want me to talk about certain things in our segments, our Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. If there's certain topics you want me to cover, please email me anything. Whether it's about what is your purpose, what is the thing you're called to do? My computer is doing some craziness. What is the thing that God has called you to be or do in this world? If it's anything around that, the value tied to it. Like, how do you move it into your paycheck? How do you begin to bankroll? How do you begin to build a business alongside your 9 to 5? How do you begin to stand in the full power of it? Anything all in between that. How do you build a tribe that will pay you? Anything around that. Send me an email. Your email may be my topic I'll share next month here on Bankroll Your Brains Thursdays. I'm here to support you, but I can only give you as much as you ask, right? As the Bible says, you have not because you ask not. Now, those of you that want more tools, tips, strategy all month long, I want to encourage you to also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram profile is N Roberts Jones. Patricia said, you preaching today. Listen, let me tell you why. You know, every time I have the pleasure to be here on this platform, I am always prayerful. What is it that you need next? The thing that God keeps rumbling in my spirit, and I've shared this in a couple other places that I get to teach, is that you need strategy. This is it. This 2021 will be over in less than 3 months because now we're at the edge of our next year. You can't wait until then to go after what's next. You got to be doing it now. You got to be in the work now. And so that's why I wanted to come in and share this with you. Again, for those of you that want the vision board exercise, as soon as I hang up with you, I will pop it in our Facebook group. So listen, it's always my honor and privilege to be here with you every single Thursday here in Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. I'm Nicole Roberts Jones, the Bankroll Your Brilliance expert. I'll be back next Thursday for another segment. And look, I look forward to hearing how you move your vision, your purpose, your desires forward. If there's any way I can ever serve you, send me an inbox message. Ask a question. Whether you want it to be a segment or whether you have a question that you want me to see if I can serve to help you grow your purpose-focused business, right? You are so welcome. You're so welcome. Krita says, I hope I'm saying your name right. Krita, is that right? She said, thank you, much needed. You are more than welcome, right? And so with that, I'll see y'all next Thursday for another segment. Have a phenomenal rest of this Thursday and get your strategy written, get it going, and let's make your 2022 abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. I'll see you next week, y'all. Bye.